aired weekly right here on Influencers platform. We call this show Transcendent. We call this broadcast Transcendent. The word transcendent literally means to go beyond the normal boundaries. If we stay in our conversation and in our thinking and in our action within the boundaries that we have always been in, we will only keep recapitulating the results we have always gotten. We are in a day when a pioneering attitude is of a must if we're going to advance as a culture and as a people. That kind of pioneering spirit always brings with it its own set of challenges. Those challenges seem, anyway, to align themselves to keep us contained within a certain box. But transcendent is a breakthrough. It's the using the mallet and the pick to break through those normal boundaries and think outside the box and invite into the scope of this new thinking old partners that can be trained and developed to think in a new way. So I'm glad you're here with us tonight. We want you to take in all. I have 4 very powerful guests tonight, and the theme of our time is called the power of partnership. I'm glad to be able to say that SABWB partners with each of these organizations that you're going to see tonight, and it's because of your support that SABWB is allowed to be an entity of connection. Our whole heart is to connect what is good happening in our city, synergize that through that connection, and then turn the culture toward wholesomeness for us and for the generations that will come after us. I have grandchildren. They're growing up in this city. I want their families and their future husbands and wives to be those that can raise children in an environment that is conducive to family and that is conducive to godliness and that is conducive to creativity and being able to stretch and grow. Life must permeate, but that won't automatically happen or happen because people like the guests that I have on tonight work for that to happen. And so I want to bring on my first guest tonight. The monologue is much shorter than normal because I do have a list of guests. I want to bring on the first guest is 2 pastor friends, Pastor Choi and Pastor Ryu. They're Korean, as you can determine both by their features and by their name. I hope I didn't botch their names up too bad. And they are here. Pastor Ryu is here from Atlanta, and he is helping Pastor Choi and others, a team of 200. I think the cantata choir is 200 plus, and then there's engineers and the crew that moves things around. So join me in welcoming Pastor Choi and Pastor Ryu to Transcendent. Welcome, guys. Thanks for coming.
Hello. Very nice to meet you. And my name is Pastor Samuel Liu from the Good News Atlanta Church. I'm here for the Christmas cantata, helping the Pastor Choi. And I'm so thankful. Last Sunday, Pastor Charles Flowers, he invited me, and we had a good time. And
yes.
So thankful to God. And my life was so dark until 19 years old, because even though I go to church, but I didn't meet Jesus in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
One day, God gave me a chance to receive salvation. So through the Word of God, my heart became bright, and Jesus was born in my heart. And after that, Jesus' Holy Spirit led my life until now. I'm a pastor. God established me. God made me a pastor. And yeah, when I look back my life, without Jesus, I cannot live. My life was meaningless. But after I met Jesus, my life became bright and happy. And God gave me my wife, beautiful my wife, and two daughters. I'm
A
so
wife and two daughters. Now, where did you live before you went to Atlanta?
The pardon?
Before you moved to Atlanta, where were you?
I'm a pastor. The 2002 I came to America.
You came to America in 2002.
Yes.
And before then, you were in Korea?
Yeah.
Okay.
So after I came to America, I think 7 different places I
Oh,
moved.
wow.
Yeah, because our mission, our church pastor, the system is pastor rotating.
Okay.
Yeah, from Oregon, Portland, Oregon, and Tacoma, Washington State, Tacoma, and
Yes.
Hawaii, Honolulu, and Los Angeles, and Houston, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, now Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah,
Man, they move you around a lot. I was in the military, and they moved us around, but not that much. I mean, it wasn't like that often. But we're thankful that God has brought you to San Antonio. Tell us about the cantata, how that came to be, and how people can go to it.
Yes, we rent the Freeman Coliseum. We prepared the 8,000 seat.
8,000 seats in the Freeman Coliseum.
Yes.
Do you anticipate all 8,000 seats being filled?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think now atmosphere is around about overflow.
Oh, all right. Praise God. That's awesome.
I want to see overflow.
Yes. Now the cantata has 3 acts. Don't give away the punchline. But tell us what you can tell us about the 3 acts and about the musicians as well.
Yes. The originally Christmas cantata's purpose is to give the true message of the Christmas. The pastor, my senior pastor, Pastor Oxpa, will come and he will deliver the message.
Okay.
The true meaning of the Christmas. And this Christmas cantata is a musical concert. There are 2-hour shows, and first act and second act and third act, three act divided, and between second act and third act, pastor will deliver a message about the true Christmas. And
now, where around the world has this cantata been done before?
Before coronavirus, so originally since 2010, we have a Christmas cantata tour, Christmas cantata in America. So now this year is about 10th years Christmas cantata. So normally there are 28 different cities. In 1 month, we have Christmas cantata. Every day.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
28 cities in 1 month?
Yes.
So that means you're moving every day.
Yes, even Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska, and Canada, Toronto, and Canada, Vancouver.
So, Toronto, Canada, and Vancouver, Canada.
Yes.
And Alaska.
Yeah.
Wow.
In 1 month, we have a Christmas cantata tour. So in one month, this cantata is every day change the cities. After show, we pack all stuff, all prop and all equipment, and over midnight moved to another city.
Wow.
So all night long we drove and we moved to another city.
My goodness.
Yeah, early morning we arrive, and after breakfast, we just set up the Christmas cantata prop and the equipment.
I cannot imagine that scale of work.
Yes,
28 cities around the country, packing up at night, setting up the next day, only to pack up again the next night and
yeah,
move to another city. May God strengthen you. This
yes,
time, however, you're in the city of San Antonio on the 22nd of December.
yes,
And then we actually have an opportunity for a second showing, a much smaller crowd, on the 24th of December at Faith Outreach Center International. The core of the cantata singers will be there also. So for all of you who are listening, if your folks get your folks there on the 22nd down to the Freeman Coliseum, and then after you've been floored by that experience, just tell somebody this. It's only seating for about 600 at Faith Outreach Center, but tell somebody and get them there on Christmas Eve. Put that on your Christmas Eve docket. Come by at 6 o'clock, enjoy the cantata. You're out at 7:30, and then you can join the rest of your families for the rest of that day and have something memorable that will change your life forever. I know Pastor Park. I've met him twice. He's the man who's been able to put all that together. It's been wonderful, and his family was saved by some American missionaries that took the gospel to Seoul, Korea, and he feels indebted to bring the gospel back to this land. And I'm so glad that God has moved his heart in that way. Thank you, Pastor Choi, and thank you, Pastor Ryu, for being with us. And everyone, make sure that you make your way to the Joe and Harry Freeman Coliseum on December 22nd. Now, what's amazing about that is that the tickets are free.
yes.
They make it free to the public.
Yeah.
The tickets are free. This show is played at the Sydney Opera House. It's played at Madison Square Garden. So it gives you an idea of the level of quality of that show. And they do it for free because they want to get the gospel in a creative form to San Antonio and the rest of the country and around the world. So thank you guys for being on with me. Really appreciate that. We're going to just move on now. Right after commercial, talking about our I Pray experience, we'll come back with our next guest, which is President Danny Diaz. We'll be right back after this commercial.
Hello, my name is Natalie Hardy from SABWB, San Antonio in Black, White, and Brown. Every Friday morning at 10 a.m., we are at this table seeking the face of God on behalf of our city. And if you didn't know that, I wanted you to know so that you can tune in with us and pray with us, whether we do it on that same time or after the fact, and look at a broadcast and pray with us after the fact. Every voice counts. So join with us on Friday mornings, and we look forward to praying with you. Bless you. Bye-bye.
All right. If you are anywhere in the city of San Antonio and you can come live to that event, that I Pray experience each Friday at 10 o'clock, please do. If not, join us live on Facebook or catch it on Facebook because it is recorded and put up on our website at SABWBTX, and you can pray with us at any time. A lot of prayers needed for a lot of things. One of the things for which prayers needed is this notion of our community as a whole and all of its moving parts that have been under strain. There's been an attempt to splinter the community. But Dr. King and others, I'll be talking with Shakari in a minute about some of this concept. Dr. King and others taught something called the blessed community. I'm so deeply moved by that my message series at the first of this year, the first of 2022, January 2022, will be entitled The Blessed Community. There is a responsibility that each of us play to bring that community together. One major part in that is law enforcement. I'm pleased to introduce to some of you for the first time, and perhaps many of you already know, President Danny Diaz of the San Antonio Police Officers Association. The police officers have gone through quite a strain over the last 2 years in this country. Some of it self-inflicted by the actions of some officers that were not in the best interest of the community, in fact, hostile against them. But those who are in this community, that doesn't speak to the vast majority of the men and women in uniform, but the powers that be will amplify a negative circumstance and make it seem as though everyone in uniform is hunting their fellow man now to do them harm, which is very far from the truth. There are all over the community of policemen and women all over the country are filled with people like Danny Diaz, who are there putting their life on the line every day for the safety of this community. And he is now in the president's position, able to extend his hand as SAPOA into the community. Welcome with me, President Danny Diaz. Danny, thanks for being with me tonight.
Thank you, Pastor Flowers. I appreciate the invite, and thank you for having me.
No, I'm. That's a two-way street. I'm thankful for your being on as well. How's the new digs, man? You've been in office for not quite a year yet.
No, it's been 10 months of nonstop. As you well know, I came in and was inducted in February 1st, so I hit the ground running. Of course, we had our issue with the Proposition B.
Right.
Thank God, with your help and with the community's help, we were able to defeat that. But then came the different challenge, and at our first meeting, I explained to you what my thought process was, and what I've told the entire community, not just from the chief to the city manager and the mayor, is that we got to get back to being a wholesome community, and the way that I see for us to do that from the San Antonio Police Officers Association is to get out and have that dialogue and that communication.
Yes.
It is very difficult for us because we are short-staffed across the city, and we just keep getting bigger and bigger. When I came on, it was easy to stop and talk to people. We had that relationship and that dialogue. Now it is very difficult to do that because officers are going call to call to call. So in that breakdown, there's no ability for a citizen to sit and talk to an officer. A lot of what I get and what I got during the Proposition B fight was that officers don't say hello. They think they're better than you. Their shirts are on too tight, because they are always it's all the young ones.
Cutting out blood flow to the brain.
Yes, sir. But that's far from the truth. We have officers that on a daily basis are out coaching not only their own children, but other kids in the community.
Yeah.
We're coaches. We're out doing what we need to do in churches as best we can. So the way I saw it in reaching out is we have, of course, our programs. We had a golf tournament in November. We were able to raise some money, which in turn gives back to Christmas gifts to the community. We did have a clay shoot back in May, which helped us raise some money where we can give scholarships to the kids out in the community. And one of the things that I've done, sir, is I've not only touched base with you, but there's Pastor Vincent Robinson out there in the Lombrano Courts area there at South Calabria, and he and I have a long history together. And thank goodness we met up and we were able to sit and talk. We did something that we fed some homeless people just before Thanksgiving, and we were able to give turkeys with the assistance of the city to every family in the Lincoln Courts area. Wow. But one of the things that I've done, sir, is in the vision that we talked about, is we got to bring the young ones up to. And so what I did is I started reaching out to some of the schools through our nonprofit and asking them if they would come assist in serving, wrapping hot dogs, hamburgers, getting out in the community so they can see a different aspect of it. And one thing that happened, and this kind of hit home, I had my granddaughter and two of her teammates from Harlan High School. So they're on the far north side. And they were out there helping feeding these homeless people. Well, they met up with one young man who was homeless. He's on a drug problem, but they found out that he used to go to a school, Brandeis High School.
Oh,
that
wow.
is their rival school.
Yeah.
And he's only been out of school 5 years, but he got an injury through playing football, got hooked on the medicine that they were giving him, and then wound up getting hooked on the drugs. So it hit home. So it was a blessing for them to see that, so they could see the other side.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to do. In turn, we pay them back by giving them service hours.
Yeah.
All our kids need help, service hours getting back to the universities of their choice that they're going to go to. But opening their eyes and the vision as to not being so isolated as parents. I know I did it getting my kids through Catholic schools, is you try to isolate them from the negative. But I think it's gotten to the point, in my opinion, that we need to open their eyes to everything that's going on, because if we don't, we can't fix it. And that's what I'm trying to do, sir. It's work.
I really appreciate your heart in that, President Diaz, for just taking your role seriously. You could, you could do clay shoots and golf tournaments and raise some money and throw some money at different things, but that's not your heart. Your heart is to make a connection between the police department and the community in a viable way. Now, I'm going to say this because I know that it used to happen that the police department would do different things with the city council districts. The districts would take it on and make it like their shiny nickel and never give the San Antonio Police Officers Association the credit they deserved for giving the bikes and the backpacks. And therefore, the community never knew that it was the police department doing it. And it helped them form this isolationist kind of concept and idea around the police department. But you're breaking that mold. And one place you're breaking it is right here at SABWB. They provided us with 10 bicycles that we can help serve children through our Forerunner Plaza, working together with Faith Outreach Center. SABWB and Faith Outreach Center is partnering together for the distribution of those 10 bicycles, 2 little tricycles, and then a couple of other bikes with training wheels on it, and then some BMX-looking bikes, and then some the others that you see some of them pictured there on your screen. And I'm just so thankful that you guys you thought about us and reached toward us for us to be able to reach our hand in the community. We were able to do that because the SAPOA empowered us to do it. And we're thankful for your cooperation with us. President Diaz, is there anything you want the community to know before we move on to our next segment tonight?
Yes, sir. And this is kind of personal to me, because I was asked this question, or this statement was thrown at me, is that sometimes policemen come out and they only come out one time and then we never see you again. I'm sorry. You see this all in a joke. You see this big watermelon head, ain't going nowhere. It's going to stick around, and you're going to be seeing me more and more. But we're not just one and done. We're going to keep coming back,
awesome.
and because we can't change things in the community if we do that. That being said, here's what I'd like to get back to. It hasn't been that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm 54 years old, and I remember when I was a kid, we didn't lock our doors when we went to sleep at night.
Right.
It hadn't been that long ago. We
Right.
can get back to that. But it's going to take all of us,
Yeah.
right? In that,
Love it.
In that, we have to be able to still sit down and talk.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This yelling and not listening isn't going to cut it, because we never get anything done.
Right.
I welcome anyone who would like to sit down and talk. Let's work things out. There's always two sides to every story.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason behind some of the things that we do. A lot of it, what people seem to forget, is we took an oath to uphold the laws, local, state, and federal.
Mm-hmm.
So we get in trouble if we don't do that. But at the same time, again, people need to see the opposite, the other side to it. Just like you have a voice, we have a voice. Let's meet in the middle and let's see what we can discuss and how we can change things.
We're at a curious time in our culture, Danny. I took an oath when I went into the military an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You took an oath when you entered into service that you would uphold the laws. There was a time in this nation's history when men in uniform, like me and like you, had to come to a place where we had to lean on the existence of a superior law. For example, I'm talking about during Jim Crow. It was police officers who had to enforce not going into that door because you're black, or drinking at that fountain because you're black. It was police officers. And that history with the black community in the police department has created a generational pain in that community that you're still dealing with today.
Yes, sir.
And so we have to, as you said, we have to have the needful conversations about when the higher law, the law of God, the universal law of God, that we treat each other with human dignity and honor, is what you're leading to happen there at SAPOA. And I'm so glad you're there. And I do pray that big watermelon head stay around for a whole bunch of time as we continue to make changes in the community.
I just want everyone to know, look, this job, and I've told you this before, Pastor Flowers, this job is like any other job. Unfortunately, there's a jerk wherever you go. Yeah. And unfortunately, sometimes we get those, but we do our due diligence to police ourselves. Yes. In no way, shape, or form do I ever protect bad cops, because we don't want them here either. They make the rest of us look bad. Right. So please, when you hear that, that's far from the truth. We're here to help. We're here to be with the community. We're here to be out with the community, change things. But we got to sit down and talk. And, awesome. And I'm more than happy to I have an open door. Anyone that wants to come by, please, I welcome it.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for being with me tonight. We're going to go to commercial. When I come back, I'm going to talk with Sho about Dream Week. So hang around. I'll be with you in just a minute. Hello, everyone. I'm Charles Flowers, the founder of San Antonio in Black, White, and Brown, also known as SABWB. SABWB is the premier leadership space where influencers from every race and position and perspective converge to build relationships and collaborate on the implementation of principles that shape the culture. SABWB is your voice speaking aloud for integrity, for justice and transparency and truth in our city. SABWB is your platform for collaboration leading to impact and transformation. SABWB is your presence in the marketplace of ideas in business and politics and education, sports, entertainment, health and wellness, media, and the church. SABWB needs your partnership as we together transcend the boundaries of race and class and build a kingdom culture here in San Antonio. Partnership is only $10 a month, easy enough for all of us to participate. Many of us doing a little will have major impact in our city. To partner, go to sabwb.org or text SABWB space your gift to 84321. Thank you in advance for joining in the transformation of our city. Well, you are getting your earful tonight of what is happening in our city. And I'm so pleased to introduce our third guest tonight, Shakari. His sister calls him Sho, so I call him Sho. Shakari, thanks for being with us tonight here on Transcendent. For those of you who don't know, Shakari heads Dream Week. At the front of every year, January, there is a Dream Week experience. It's followed by the MLK March, which will take place on the 17th of January this year. The People's Movement, SABWB People's Movement, will have a place in the march this year. So for those of you who want to march, black, white, red, yellow, brown, just like President Diaz was saying earlier, we have to be a people who transcend, if I may use the word strategically, transcend beyond these boundaries that seek to want to separate us. Oh, I would desire that that the people's movement be the largest segment in the march this year. The march in San Antonio traditionally is the largest in the country. That march is actually overseen by Renee Watson, and hopefully I'll be able to get Renee on here around the 4th of January and interview her. But the gentleman that I have on tonight is all the stuff that happens prior to the march, which is Dream Week, and through his organization called Dream Voice, he coordinates all of that effort. So Shakari, thanks for being with us on Transcendent tonight. I think you're muted. I think you're muted. Your microphone is muted. Okay. Can you? I can't hear him. Can you hear him? Are you talking to me or him?
Hello,
Okay.
hello.
Yeah, there you are. There you are.
Hello.
There you are, Show.
Thank you so much, Pastor, for inviting me to this. I'm honored to be part of this and show, and also honored to be part of this wonderful panel. I don't think I've met anyone else on this panel. And,
well, that
is one of the reasons.
Yes, that's what we're here for. We're here to help
exactly
connect the dots between you and the others. So,
and I think that's exactly why Dream Week is so important. Is because we have the opportunity to, venture around the city as well. So Dream Week is about tolerance. When we started, this is our 10th year. When I started this, it was about tolerance, diversity, it's about equality. But, those words now seem to suggest a kind of a political lean, and that wasn't the intention at all. I was talking about tolerance in, approaching each other and understanding each other's views. Right. So what we believe is that, when two people get on the table, and that's the genius of the 60s that existed in the 60s, behind the civil rights movement, behind all of that violence, there were people in the back room sitting across the table and having these great conversations that led to what we ended up, agreeing. So ultimately, we have to learn to sit down and have those conversations, and however difficult they are. And that's why I applaud this show. I think I'm ashamed to say that I didn't even know it existed, but I'm going to be a big champion of it because this is exactly what we need.
Yes.
So Dream Week, this year we are going to have about 200 events, hopefully.
200 events. Man,
yeah, 200 events.
You and Pastor Choi and Pastor Ryu, you guys are cut from the same cloth, I see.
Yeah.
200 events.
Hopefully, listening to the other panelists here, I think we might even have one or two more. But the idea again is to introduce the city to itself, allow people venture in the city.
Would you say that again, Joe? The idea is to introduce the city
to itself.
To itself.
Yes. Allow people venture. And not just venture. I give this example. That there's certain places that we talk about freedom a lot here in America, but it'll be very unusual if in my neighborhood, I live on the north side, but it'd be very unusual sight to see 5 young men from the east side just walking the street there. Why? And so those are the kind of questions we ask ourselves.
Yes.
Why would that be an uncommon sight?
Yeah.
And so they kind of this force fields that we do not acknowledge necessarily, that hold people back and say, well, yeah, the museum is free. Why don't you go in there? But I don't even know if I'm welcomed in that space. So this is what Dream Week we try to do with Dream Week. I want people to meet Pastor Flowers, and make a determination whether or not, but meet him first and get to know him first.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing.
Yes.
And we still have to allow each other be. One of the big inspiring portions of the Bible, I'm not going to, I'm just going to just bring with Solomon and the two women. I think they were mates trying to divide up the wife. And to me, that symbolizes what we're trying to achieve. Divide up the baby. That symbolizes what we're trying to achieve in Dream Week. When two siblings or kin family members are fighting, both of them are wrong. It's just a fact. Both are wrong. And that's the issue, is that, but at the same time, they are family, they can't be discarded. How do we have this approach where we come up with this oneness about what, what is it in San Antonio that makes us San Antonians? What is it that makes us human beings? What is it that makes us Christians? What is it that makes us good neighbors? We need to establish a kind of I hate to use the word baseline, but we need to have a foundation as to what we all can possibly accept. So the theme for 2021 and 2022 is our future. And the reason we've chosen that, our future, is that we have to start to appreciate that our actions today is what leads to what would happen tomorrow. And it's not something that we should wait for it to happen to us.
I think you're touching on the very theme of the blessed community. What does that look like when there is mutual respect and tolerance for the difference of ideas, how those ideas are worked out within the fabric of a community that moves the whole community forward, around what things can we agree. And there are some things that we will not disagree. That we will not agree upon? How can we remain honorable in our disagreement? Those kinds of discussions are not had enough in our culture, and as a result, there is a strain. There is this tension that exists between us, and it makes us not want to have to engage at all because of the tense nature of that strain between us. And what God has called you to do through Dream Week is to help break some of those walls down. You and I have some very mutual good friends in the city that are pastors, and we are committed to joining you in that fight to break these barriers down, break the color barrier, the geographic barrier. You talked about earlier about 5 Black guys walking through the Dominion together. Why would the police be called just because 5 African American males are walking down the street together? So those kinds of notions. If we had a group of 10 or so white people walking down the center of a Black community, is gentrification about to happen? And is that going to, all of those notions of what might be in the intent of people just because we see them. But if we can start having the conversations, the Black, white, brown, the reason San Antonio in Black, white, and brown is called Black, white, and brown, because we know that there are principles that unite us beyond our color lines. And we're calling all of those races of people together to have such conversations. So tell us something about what's going to happen Dream Week. What can people expect? If you want to give them kind of a highlight of what to expect on Dream Week. Show, are you there? I think you're muted again. Show, I think you're muted again.
Hello.
Oh, there you go. Okay, now you're back.
Okay. I'm supposed to be a professional at this, believe it or not. This is my day job. But anyway, so look, I love what you talked about, and I love the name of your show. I think it just sums up exactly what we need to do. But there has to be, I know we use the word, and I'm going to talk about quickly about what Dream Week is about next year, but I wanted to touch on this idea of community, because we can narrow that community to my community around things I like, and that's it, right? Or enlarge it to a community of making sure, and I think a gentleman mentioned it earlier, is that I have to realize that when I walk out of the street, the first person I see is a member of my community.
Right.
And we may not be interacting, but their actions are very important to my well-being or their well-being within this. So we need to really start to really think about this idea of community. And it's not so much as, and that's why I love the idea of making sure that all our children, not just my children, but all our children are brought up in a manner that is respectful of this broader community. So the 200 event, we have the speaker series, and I'm proud to announce that Pastor Flowers will be a part of our panel discussion as well.
I'm so glad to be a part of that.
Yes, and we have the opening event, which is on a Friday on the 13th, and we have, like I said, we have 200. Anytime I mention events like this, somebody calls me out and says, "You didn't mention mine."
You didn't mention mine, yeah.
You didn't mention mine, and then we sort of get into trouble. But I would love to. The idea is that the event's about trying to get. We're looking for the genius within the community, and when we talk about genius in this regard, we're talking about gifts that we get that are introduced into our community or introduced into our lives that change things for the better. And we don't know where that will come from. Nobody knew that a Mandela would exist or an MLK or a Malala until they existed. So we don't know if a 12-year-old young child on the South Side is the person, the voice that can actually change all our lives. And we just need to be open to that approach. So dreamweek.org would give you all the events out there. And this is our 10th year, and we keep trying. And if you want to come up and be part of Dream Week for 2023, we'll be very glad to have you.
So 2022 is just around the corner, but he's already looking at 2023. So if you can, dreamweek.org, go there, make the connections, and see what you can begin to do to start having the kind of conversations that we're talking about, engulfing a greater community, embracing them in the love of Christ, and bringing the liberating truth of the gospel in the way that it works out in the community itself, bringing light, love, and hope to others through the truth of the gospel. So thank you so much for Show for being with us. I'm going to go to commercial, and I'm coming back with our last guest tonight, Yakini with Urban Conservatives of America. I'll be right back after this commercial. Hello, everyone. I'm Charles Flowers, your host for Transcendent. Transcendent is SABWB's online weekly broadcast aired here on Influence's platform. Join me and other key leaders from various pillars of influence which shape the culture of San Antonio for innovative and strategic dialogue. Each week, we will address core community values and principles that need to be restored and re-implemented into our culture of our great city. This may often necessitate identifying where these values and principles are being compromised and reflecting on the damaging impact that such actions may have if left unaddressed. But ultimately, we want to take the conversation beyond ordinary limits, exceed the normative boundaries, and implement bold, time-tested principles across the pillars of influence in our city, which will result in the positive transformation of the culture. I look forward to visiting with you each week here on Transcendent. And I do look forward to being with you each week right here on Transcendent. I want to say hello to Debbie and to Jessica Santa Cruz Medellin. I like saying her name because it helps me with my Spanish. Cindy, thank you for being there with us as well. Others of you that are in the live chat, thanks for being on tonight. Before I bring my final guest in, I want to just say, San Antonio, you made me proud on Monday night, last night, December the 13th, at the San Antonio Independent School District. SABWB that was our third nonviolent direct action taken at SAISD for the sake of children, because the threat, a threat to the safety and the welfare of any child is a threat to the safety and the welfare of every child. And because of it, we went to bat for the children in SAISD, some of which cannot stand the mask and vaccine mandates, by the way, both of which has been federally halted and statewide halted also. But there are some institutions, most of them schools and universities, that have defied those orders and are bringing parents through the ringer anyway. If there were calls for it, hospitalizations, deaths, maybe you could justify it. But when there is no data to back that up, it becomes not about the children anymore. It's a power grab. And so we had to face that down last night. And thank you to Unmask San Antonio and others that helped us in that pursuit on Monday night. We're not railing at the school board, we're appealing to the school board. Isaiah 119 says, "Come, let us reason together, saith the Lord." And so we're hoping that our continued presence and our continued respectful deportment moves the conversation toward freedom and away from agendas and power grabs that can sometimes unfortunately become a part of that process. But tonight, our last guest is a new friend to the city of San Antonio, and she is so full of fire, so full of the zeal to address the issues that she knows plagues the communities of San Antonio. She's a representative of the Urban Conservatives of America, Urban Conservatives of America, UCA. Now, if you didn't see Yakini's picture, you would probably think that because her organization is Urban Conservatives of America, well, the urban might have thrown you off. But the title of that organization is Urban Conservatives of America, and here is Yakini Wisdom. Yakini, thanks for being with us tonight. Unmute yourself there if you.
Hello, Pastor Flowers. It is an honor being here tonight to speak on your platform. I'm very excited to share some information. Hopefully it will open people's eyes up to the things that are going on within our community and around the nation, but we're going to specifically speak on some of the things that's going on in San Antonio.
Okay, so now tell me why Urban Conservatives. Help me with that.
Okay, so urban is pretty much a mindset. It's not just where you live. It's not where you go to school. It's just the community as a whole. We know within the United States of America, we know that many of our people, Black people, are in communities that they're not getting access to information, quality, good information that can help impact and change their lives. So Urban Conservative of America is based on faith, family, and freedom. We want to be able to go into the communities, be able to help change mindsets, teach people who they are through the Word of God, help them find their purpose through the Word of God, and help them to just be an impact to the world. Empowerment.
Now, why did you choose the term conservative? That's kind of a lightning rod term in the name of the organization.
Well, our founder is Jonathan McCullough, and co-founder is Sean Scott. And they need to be back on later to pretty much explain the concept of the name. But a lot of people think when you're Black, you're automatically a Democrat. They think that that's just a thing. I was raised conservative. I've never voted Democrat. That's just how I was raised. I've seen a lot in life. I've lived in good neighborhoods. I lived in bad neighborhoods. I've seen shootings. I'm from West Philadelphia. So,
Wow.
so
Wow.
I've seen some things, you know, in my lifetime, but I know just our demographics in general, people think that we're Democrats.
Now, how did a West Philadelphian get down here?
Well, it's a long story. I moved to Georgia when I was young, moved to Georgia. I wound up going into the military, served in the military, in the Army, Army strong. Served in
I won't hold that against you. I'm Air Force.
Okay, that's okay. And of course, working with the government, just traveling around, and I'm here in San Antonio. I love it. I love it.
Okay. Yeah, you love the city, and we love the fact that you're here too. Look, the urban conservatives of America know particularly what is happening within the boundaries of our own community where the abortion issue is concerned. Now, the abortion issue is a topic at the dinner table again because of the two cases that have come out of Texas and out of Mississippi that is going up to Supreme Court with the potential of resetting the nation back prior to Roe v. Wade. The landmark legislation that took place here in Texas in 1973 used to make abortion on demand legal for the country. Why is this abortive issue so big with you, Yakini, personally?
It's big with me because it really, first off, I'm gonna just backtrack. Where in the Word of God it says that God hates hands that shed innocent blood. What can be more innocent than a baby? Number two, we are the vessel. The mother is the vessel. We're just carrying that baby. That baby has his own heart, his own mind, his own limbs, body, everything. The baby is his own person. So who are we to decide whether or not that baby lives or dies? When a baby is not even ours.
The scripture says, God speaking to the prophet Jeremiah, before he was formed in the womb, he knew him.
That's right.
So it was not an nondescript. David said again in Psalms 139 that you knew my parts being yet unformed.
That's right.
It was personal with God. It wasn't.
That's right.
It wasn't tissue. It wasn't a fetus. It was something that contained a divine purpose. And 60 million of them. I'm sorry. Most of you who know me know I can't talk about this subject long because the innocence of a child in the womb is violated by the brutality of an abortion. But you wanted to say something specific to the Black community where that's concerned.
Yes, in regards to the Black community, we are the highest ethnic group that actually has abortions. There are abortion clinics in every urban, and I'm gonna say urban in this stance, when you talk about the hoods,
Black and brown communities,
the lower class communities, per se, you find abortion clinics right there.
When you say lower class, you're talking about lower economic class.
Lower economic class.
Okay.
I'm talking about lower economic class, or what's called lower economic class. It could be Black, it could be Latino, it can be Caucasian people live in these neighborhoods, but it affects the majority of Black Americans. I shared with Pastor Flowers earlier, there is actually a abortion clock. It's called usabortionclock.org, and you can go on there and you actually see all the abortions that are going on. It's live, it's going on, all the abortions that are going on within the whole world. And on there, at the bottom, you see Black babies.
So they
Specifically
give
Black
statistics. They give statistics
18
on this clock, and at
over
the bottom
18 million.
there's a statistic for blacks, and it's over 18 million Black babies that have been destroyed in the womb.
Over 18 million Black babies.
Because the issue has been so sheltered by political ideology, it's being covered by political ideology. How are you going to get the information that's needed to the Black community about this issue to them?
Well, with Urban Conservatives of America, like I said, we actually have been going out into the community. We actually did a Jericho march around one of the biggest abortion clinics in the nation in Houston, Texas. And this was this year, marched around the abortion clinic in Houston, Texas, actually getting information out. I'm actually starting to partner up with SAPD, Mr. Joel. You probably know Joel, the last speaker. He probably knows Joel. So I'm actually about to start partnering up with him. We have a meeting coming up, and we're going to go into these communities, and I'm going to speak directly to these young ladies, also these young men, and talk to them about abortion, talk to them about, you know, abstinence, and trying to get them in a different mindset of thinking, so they don't even have to get to that situation to where that decision is even made. Teach them about abstinence, teaching them about saving themselves and waiting, so they don't have to go into these clinics where they don't care about you. You have an abortion, you come out, you're depressed. It might be a likely chance that you may not be able to have another child. When you actually find a mate, you may not be able to even have a child after that because of scar tissue and different other things that may go on. Also teach them about Margaret Sanger, who she literally hated Black people. She literally
Who was Margaret Sanger, for just the listeners? Who
Margaret Sanger was one of the founders of Planned Parenthood. She started all this. Yeah. She literally started all this. She used to go to the Ku Klux Klan rallies, to the meetings, and she actually, and I want to say her statement, I want to say it correctly, exactly how she said it. She has something called the Negro Project.
Yes.
And she stated, African Americans are reckless breeders and human weeds. That's exactly what she said about African Americans, which is very sickening, because these are
reckless breeders and human weed.
Yes.
Human weeds.
Yes.
What do you do with weeds?
You cut them, you kill them, get rid of them. She spoke at Klan rallies a lot.
For those of you who don't know, the modern day Planned Parenthood was formerly the American Birth Control League.
Yes.
And Margaret Sanger was the founder of the American Birth Control League that morphed into Planned Parenthood, that is responsible literally for the heavier hand and the genocide of people of African descent here in America.
Yes.
I want to, before we run out of time, Yakini, I want to tell them about the film.
Okay, so UCA, along with Faith Outreach, I am thankful for Pastor Flowers for allowing us to actually show the movie Roe v. Wade, and you're going to see the truth. You're going to see the truth. I don't want to give out too much, but just know that it was a lie. I'm just going to say that. A lot of what you think you know is you're going to find out something different. In regards to this movie, it shows the doctor that performed thousands of abortions. It shows the protests. It shows everything, the court battles. It's a really good movie. I would love for anybody to come out to Faith Outreach Bookstore and Cafe. It's going to be on January the 21st from 7 to 9:30. There will be refreshments and everything, information. given out as well. If you have some teenagers, if you have people in the community that just don't know what's going on, because a lot of people don't even know what it is. They're like, why are they in court? What is this? So people need to know the truth. People need to know that babies are precious. Babies are precious, that life is precious. God gives us life. God created these babies. It was God that did everything in regards to the makeup and the formation of these children. And we need to do something to make sure that we are rallying to, for this, to protect our children. Also, one more thing. I know you got to go. One more thing. 40 Days for Life is an organization that's deep rooted within Texas and around the nation. They have openings for people to go out in front of the abortion clinics. You can go on their sites, 40daysforlife.com. You can sign up to go in front of the abortion clinics. You can pray in front of the abortion clinics. I think things happen in numbers, just like what Pastor Flowers was talking about, the people's movement. Things happen with numbers. We need numbers to go out here and to make an impact and to make a change within San Antonio, because we don't want San Antonio to turn into some of these other states.
Right.
So we have to get out there and we have to do something about it.
Okay, so I'm thankful, guest, for every one of you. Every one of you stayed on. That's encouraging too. I know your time is important, but you were here to hear everybody else and meet everyone else. I want to say lastly, Yakini, on the 21st of January at the Faith Outreach Center Bookstore and Cafe, Roe versus Wade will be shown. It's a free movie as well. Seating is limited. There's probably about 50 spaces. If we have an overrun crowd, we can do something else. We can move to another larger venue, but we've started with this area, about 40, 50 seats in our cafe, bookstore and cafe. It's an intimate settings, multi-screened. You'll be able to see and hear and learn and grow from what you see. It's never easy to look at that. It's never easy, even I say look at it. I'm not talking about grotesque pictures or anything. I'm talking about just the fact that communicating that the child in the womb is destroyed. Just to communicate that is grievous enough. And what can be done from the perspective of a mother who feels like her hand is tied and she doesn't know what else to do. Rather than railing against her and condemning her for a choice, provide her with another one. Provide her with another road, another opportunity to take a different road. And when that is provided, in many cases they do. San Antonio is a prime city that has proven itself to be the city that's willing to build new roads for people. If I can steal a commercial from Chevrolet, they can help people build a new road for their families right here in the city of San Antonio. So I want to, before I leave tonight, I want to thank all my guests again. Thank you for being here. All of you who were online watching us tonight, do us a big favor and share this broadcast, because people need to know and hear and see what has happened here tonight. Lastly, I want to encourage you to do what one of our partners did this week. Looking into 2022, our partnership is a minimum of $10 a month. I ask people, give what you don't miss. Give something that you don't miss. This particular partner said, I'm going to be in for $100 a month, and she paid the whole thing, all of 2022. She says, here's my 2022 donation. It's $1,200 for $100 a month for the year, and then she threw in a little extra and wrote a check for $1,300. And you know what? 100 people doing that, and I wouldn't have to talk to you about money for an entire year. So maybe you're our partner, and you're like this partner. You're saying, I can do more than 10 that I won't miss. I can do 50 or 100 or whatever it is you can do that is within the comfort of your budget to do. Do that and partner with us. We do a lot on our website in terms of partnership. We're rebuilding it now, but we have a backside on that website where we'll show what we're doing in terms of nonviolent direct action. That's back there. What we do in our mixes, what we do in our conferences, all of it is for our supporters. So all of that information is for our supporters so that you can know. We're awaiting a shipment now, and we partner with folks like SAPOA that will allow us to reach into the community with their help to minister to the children at this time of the year. But we're awaiting a shipment. We've been calling each week to make sure that we're still on docket for that, and we are, although the release date is not yet known, of a 53-foot trailer bringing in brand name clothes and shoes for adults and children, bringing in a value of about $2.5 million, 26 pallets of brand new stuff that SABWB will receive. We'll work in partnership again with Faith Outreach Center to unload it, put it into the Community Life Center there, set up a time of arrangement to bless the community of San Antonio. And if we can get across the San Antonio community and have leftover, we're going to reach to the people who are in such desperate need at the border and wherever they are. Somebody said, well, they're in the country illegally. They are, but that doesn't make them not human, because that doesn't erase their need. It doesn't erase the desire to help the hurting. They can receive help right where they are. We'll get it to them. Let them be blessed and encouraged in their stay here in San Antonio. We'll take care of our own city first, and then whatever's left, we'll service others with it. So be looking forward to that. You can help us do that by your weekly partnership. Do what this one partner did. Lay out your entire 2022 partnership this month. Just tuck it in as a Christmas gift to SABWB, and you will see us do a whole lot with the resources that God places in our hands, because our resources multiply with people like SAPOA and others. They help us extend beyond what we're able to do ourselves. So thank you so much for being with us in Transcendent. This is another end of another wonderful broadcast. We will see you next week right here on the Influencers platform at 8 p.m. for Transcendent. Love you big. Bye-bye now.